By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of an LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 29 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Get up to 25% off the LG wash tower with ultra-large capacity and reduced wash time. Pricing valid January 5th through January 25th, 2023. Gas dryer extra. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
I'm gonna let you finish with Courtney and Amy on the Pantheon Podcast Network. We love you. This is the last fucking show of the year. We're so talked out. We love you. Welcome.
Yeah, maybe during the break we can get two people who say they're Courtney and Amy. Would anyone know? I don't know.
We love y'all.
But
this is show 76.
Oh my
but,
God.
Woo,
the year I graduated high school.
You know what I'm saying? I was like,
the year I got a driver's license, which I no longer have, graduated high school and lost my virginity, all in 1976. And moved away from home.
Eventful summer.
It was very...
And it was the bicentennial.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Remember that moment when everything was like...
Oh, that was like a moment. That definitely was.
It was a full moment. They were like, it's the bicentennial. And everything was on bicentennial.
And who knew that some odd years later, we wouldn't be living in a democracy anymore. But I digress.
I mean, we're not going to go into politics, but my favorite thing is watching everybody gloss over all of these things, but you're now seeing how people had plans trying to really steal the election from the top.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all just like, I mean, the people of Fox like, this is a breach. They leaked my text. I'm like, that's the biggest
The only breach I believe in is a baby's head coming out first. All right. Okay, and speaking of baby's head coming out first, well, now we know the police have solved the case of who assaulted Jussie Smollett in that horrible hate crime. And it was Jussie Smollett did it. He could have saved us all so much time and money if he had just said, yeah, I kind of, what?
I'm so mad.
Why? All right.
Let me just be honest with you. I am mad at everybody involved in this.
Yeah.
I'm mad at the police being like, if he had just apologized, none of this would have happened. But he kept the lie going. I'm mad at him for we've seen some different shit. Like, this is why you shouldn't do interviews right after shit happens, because people could compare it to what you're saying later. I'm mad at the African brothers. I just think it's so dumb. It's so stupid. What was the point of any of this? Then all of a sudden we start talking about, well, we were fucking and cocaine. And I was like, what kind of gay telenova is this bullshit? And was this worth it to fucking blow your career up over some dick and some blow? Like, what's happening?
Well, and there's all that, but when women are raped, it's a lot of women do not come to the police because a lot of women are still not believed. There is still a blame the victim mentality. Mm-hmm. What he alleged was a gasping, oh my God, how could this happen? And we're in the age of Trump, and people like, see, this is what happens with this rhetoric and yada yada yada. Well, the next time, and hopefully there won't be a next time, but there will be a next time when there is a hate crime, people are going to be less likely to believe it. And that to me is just that a Black gay man would fabricate something like this, knowing that he is part of two marginalized groups that are hated by a good portion of this country and not believed and get treated differently in the criminal justice system. It's stupid and you're absolutely right. Stupid and dumb, but it's also like, really? I mean, that's a disgusting thing. And I hope he has to pay back to Chicago if they want him to pay back the money, as he should, because there's real crime in Chicago.
Yeah, listen, I don't know what actually really happened, but I will tell you this. I think if I've been fucking somebody, even if that motherfucker had a mask on and I'm fighting him, I would know who it was I was fighting. Like if you walked up to me with a mask on and tried it, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, bitch? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what happened to the white guy? It's all
made up, though. It was all made up.
And from the beginning, and I had a friend from the beginning, I was so shocked. And then I had a friend who immediately said to me, Courtney, this story doesn't sound right. I was like, what do you mean? She said, it has everything in it. I was like, what do you mean?
It's too much.
It has homophobia. It has MAGA. It has racism. It has, are you that faggot from Empire at 2-something in the morning? I was like, it does have a lot of stuff.
And it was also, I mean, just on a totally practical level, once we got over the initial, Chicago in the winter, in the middle of the polar vortex, that was one of the coldest winters. Yeah. It was like literally like 20 below with the wind chill factor. And you decide to go to the Piggly Wiggly in the middle of the night? Like,
listen, I've gone to the store in the middle of the night when it's cold. So that part, at first I was like, it's ridiculous.
People. You don't have
but you know what? But he doesn't. At 2 a.m., you don't have people with you. At 2 a.m., your assistant is off for the night.
Clearly he did, because they mugged him and fucked him in the street. I'm sure if he had thrown those guys an extra 20, they would have gone to the Piggly Wiggly for him.
I mean, and then that part. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I looked at him and I was like, and you're just going to keep going with this? Because this sounds crazy. And then next thing you know, you're on the stand and there's bathhouses and coke. I was like, you know what? Much. I was like, I'm not doing this with you today, lady. I'm not doing it.
Well, he got convicted of 5 of the charges. He does have to pay back the money. But again, it's just shameful. It's a publicity. Like, what is the end game?
I don't want to see him go to jail, though. I think,
going to jail is not, this is not a go to jail thing. Pay the money.
Yeah, just
pay the money.
Pay the money. I don't even, I don't even want them to give him probation. Honestly, give him a big fine, let him pay it, because it's hard enough. Like now he's a fucking convicted felon, which changes a lot of shit for you. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not a light thing. It's not.
He can get a record deal.
Well, the harder part is he makes movies, right? Is it going to be? Is it going to be problems to insure him?
I mean, it will be, of course.
If he gets another television show, is it going to be hard to insure him because this will hang over him?
Yeah. Well,
and he's got a movie coming out that they've been trying to B-Boy Blues, which I've actually seen, and it is a beautiful, lovely film. They've been trying to get this movie made for a long time, and I just hate that the pall of this could hang over that. Well, but. Here's the thing. I think Charles Barkley said it best, and then we can move on. He said, Can I
just preface it by saying, I think the phrase Charles Barkley said it best. I used to clip out things that he said back in those days and put them on my refrigerator. Listen, he is the great prophet of our times.
He was at America when they were doing their picks 2 years ago for who's going to make it in the final. They said, what's something impossible that's happening? And he goes, 2 black guys beating another black guy up. And then he turns around and goes, America, do not commit crimes with checks. And I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, can you at least get some cash?
Yeah,
leave it. Should never be a check.
Yeah, never have a check. Never have a check.
It should never be a check.
Never.
Why is there a check?
Yeah. Don't Venmo your crimes.
You know what? It's like, I'm going to Venmo you $3,500.
Yeah, I mean,
for my nutrition plan. Like, he never said he got no food. Where's the food? Like, you would have been able to say, he was
eating someone's fist and dick there. Oh, we're feisty today.
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa.
Be ready for it, motherfuckers. There's no whole bars on
Festivus for the rest of us. All right. And it's segue. All right. So and just like that, which is considered, I guess, the sequel, the next phase of
continuation.
Of Sex and the City. Now, I'm going to tell you that when Sex and the City originally came out, and it was a great show. I mean, at least half of it started getting a little ridiculous. But it was great. I did not relate to it only because I was at that point. all the women I knew who were into were like a good 10 years younger than me. It was like a thing. I also didn't have HBO till later on, but that's a whole nother story. But when I did watch it, I was like, the writing is good. The acting is good. Okay, I don't know any 4 heterosexual women in New York who at the same time have boyfriends, but that's a whole nother conversation. Mm-hmm. But there was, even though, we know Carrie with her, living on a writer's budget and buying on the shoe, but it was fun and it was a sense of reality and I enjoyed it. Okay. Then they did one movie, which was good. It wasn't bad. It was good.
Yeah,
and then
I enjoyed the first movie.
I enjoyed the first movie. It was fun. And then they did the second movie, which was like terrorism. I mean, it was like,
and then all of a sudden, these women had no couth, no manners. They turned into like
no, it was horrible.
I could not. I was like, who wrote this?
Right. All right. So cut to and there's always been a clamor for them because it was a highly successful thing, and people do relate to it. All right. So long story short, and just like that takes the 3 women because Kim Cattrall decided not to be in the show for various reasons, but she decided not to be in the show. And so 2 episodes have aired on HBO. Word of mouth was that it was horrible. And again, I don't have a dog in this show, but I did watch them.
So did I.
And the first episode is not good. It's ridiculous, but they had to give, they kill Mr. Bit. Mm-hmm. They kill him. Fine. Mm-hmm. The second show is not, it's not bad. I can see where they're going with this.
It's
that
horrible.
Said, I don't think it's horrible. I don't think it's horrible.
I don't like it at all. Yeah, I don't like it at all.
But I'm not invested in it. I watch it because I'm not invested in it.
I just thought it was bad and dated. It comes off as very dated to me.
It does. And there are 2 things that really drove me nuts about it. First off, for a show that was like almost as white as Friends and received a lot of criticism for that, justifiably. I am glad that they have integrated, no pun intended, women of color, but it's like literally each one of these women now has a toy Black person. Like, here's my hip Black professor. Here's my
and next week comes the character who's in the wheelchair and the Southeast Asian character.
Yeah. It's almost like they went through a Rolodex and went check. And here's my binary, though she's really good in it, Sarah Ramirez. She's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, Carrie's doing a podcast and she's sitting there not wanting to talk about it's just ridiculous. It's just like one cliche after another.
I mean, they've made her all of a sudden, it's like she was never the girl being like pussy, but no. They were friends with Samantha Jones for a million years. They've seen it all. They've heard it all. She talked like that. So her being around and them saying those words, she would not be all like, like she's never heard any of these things before.
I know.
Well, that was Samantha's story, so it's very weird. The place that they brought all of these women. It's clear they're working on a Miranda has an alcohol problem. Steve is supposed to be only 50 something. Why is he deaf? No kid, every kid is snuck and fucked in their mother's house when you've had a girlfriend or boyfriend, but nobody's blowing backs out when your mother and father are home and banging the headboard when it's all about don't make noise.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But it's also, all right, a lot of mainly men, and a lot of have like, they look like shit, HDs, but all right. Here's the thing. I am 62
No, I've heard it's other women too. Don't say it's not mainly men, because women are very mean to each other.
All right, women are not
very
mean to each other. Women are the same to women as I don't.
That's bullshit, Amy. I'm sorry. I have worked with many women, and I'm going to tell you factually from shit we were dealing with on social media, the large majority of shit in comments about how somebody looked. Yes, there were men who did it. The large majority were other women judging the hair, the face. It's other women. Y'all judge each other more hard. Yeah, men say stupid shit, but y'all look at each other and judge each other. You can say you don't, because I don't think,
I judge women, but I think that there's a different, I don't have the power to do anything about it. But let me just but the point is that
because every conversation I've had about Charlotte's face has been other women to be like, no man all my male friends who watch the show have talked about the show. all my female friends who talk.
I'll tell you who's been really
like,
nasty.
They've been like, Charlotte's face, like what's going on? And I was like, and I have to be honest with you. She just looked like Kristen Davis to me. I didn't even notice that there was something wrong with her face.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into a whole discussion about why that has to be. But that said, what's really weird is that it's almost like they're making them look older than they actually are. Because I have seen Cynthia Nixon in candid photos when she was running for governor and stuff.
I've seen her doing the promo for this show. They've aged her 10 years.
Miranda, aged her.
All of these women are only supposed to be in their 50s.
Right. And also Sarah Jessica Parker is not a classic beauty, and that's not a disrespectful thing. She has always been someone, she is not typically beautiful, but she is a good-looking woman. Cynthia, and it's like they've almost like made them, it's almost like a caricature. There are so many wrinkles and so many close-up. And I'm not saying that, but it's like, come on. I mean, it's almost like the Steve being deaf. Come on. Come on. And not just like a little hard of being like, what?
I was like, I'm 54.
Yeah.
I want to know, in real life, I think Sarah Jessica's 56. I think I'm gonna be 55 in 7 months. I'm looking like guys.
Yeah.
Like
there's
a different modern 50 something. It's not like y'all have gone back to like your parents 50 something.
Especially women who have money. Women who have money in the show. I'm not talking about in real life.
Women who have money are the most pulled together New York women around.
Yeah. So I'm not saying they had to be pulled together because that would a Miranda that would.
But even with Miranda's gray, I feel like women who have gone gray like that, it's beautiful, and I feel like the way they have her doing her hair and her gray,
everything it's just
very
like it's very drab.
It's almost like they're trying to present. We're going to come out, and this is why she left being a lawyer, and she's got an alcohol problem, and.
Well, I also resent the fact, and again, not super invested in these are fictional characters, but the stuff that's coming out of her mouth in terms of race and gender, that is not in keeping with who she is. And it's almost like a checklist. Oh, pronouns.
That scene with her, with the professor and the hair. I was sitting there going,
no. Yeah.
What outdated? I was like, who wrote this?
Yeah, no. It's like it doesn't.
Why are you writing something about a black woman's hair and why is that their opening scene?
No,
her not thinking she'd be the professor and then
the blue-haired non-binary. It was just like checklist. Yeah, everybody seems old and dated, and they don't seem like women who've been living in New York City. So anyway, I am not. Am I going to watch it? Yeah, probably if I have nothing else to watch. But I'm just disappointed because it is rare that you get women in their 50s to carry a show, and there could have been something really important. They could have addressed a lot. Maybe they will.
Well, let's see.
Now that they're single,
you get right because you can't say what, because we really the story hasn't really the first character, the first show
it hasn't progressed
was
yet.
To establish we're going to, and I could tell from the beginning I was already he's going to die for some reason. I was like, all right, we're going to kill him off.
She's wearing the wedding shoes.
You know what I mean?
And there's all this I would. Yeah, I mean,
I also thought if you came home and saw somebody in the progress of still having a heart attack, I think call 911 and then hold and scream and try some chest compressions or something. Little mouth to mouth.
Something. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is television suspense.
It's bullshit and it's horrible, but clearly I'm going to watch it. I mean,
I just am disappointed.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to give it another episode actually. And if I feel like it's still a piece of shit, then I'm done. I won't go back to it.
Yeah.
But I will give it one more.
Speaking of things that people kind of don't care about, the Golden Globes, I thought they were didn't happen anymore.
It's like, who is that?
I thought they were canceled in the real sense of the word.
No one cares if they can't go and get drunk. That's the award show where they go and they sit there and they get drunk. You know,
what if they gave an award show and nobody came? I mean, it's literally not going to be broadcast. So they announced the winners. The Golden Globes, we all know, big shock, are bought and paid for. It's not even. It's not. It used to be an acknowledged bought and paid for. It's. We could declare ourselves the New York City foreign press, and we'll get lots of screeners. We'll invite a few other people over, and
we'll let them fly us. But we're going to fly you to Cannes to see the movie. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I don't. I'm yay.
Yeah, great. Woo, woo,
Yay.
woo, woo.
I mean, it's yay. I mean, a lot of the movies are available streaming. I haven't watched any of the big movies on Netflix or Amazon yet, but yay. You know, I mean, but it's a meaningless award. It really is. It's just self-led, and it got literally booted because shocking. It was the Hollywood Foreign Press was finally admitted that they are corrupt and racist and wow, I was shocked.
But they finally supposedly made the changes, and there's some diversity in there, and blah 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 blah.
Blah 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 blah. All right. We discussed this yesterday. I did not know that there was a Kanye. I knew that Kanye and Drake were having a reunion, or not a reunion. Not a reunion. They were kind of squashing the beef, as the kids say. I had no idea that there was like a show with this.
Evidently.
Yeah. So I did see this, and I was on the Amazon yesterday watching yet another one of my insane British cop shows. And it popped up, and I went, you know what? For the good of the people, I will watch this thing.
I'm glad you did, because you're a resident Kanye person.
Wow. I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss.
You will take it for the team, and you will at least
I took it for the team. I took it for the team. Now, I gotta say, people I know who have seen Kanye in concert say that he puts on a spectacular show because no money spared. And he sees himself as an artist, capital A. And
he gives you floating stage. His staging is always amazing. I will give him that.
So this, I believe it was a benefit for Larry Hoover, who is imprisoned, who, I don't know, I read up on the guy. I don't know if I'd want to let him out, but that's a whole nother conversation. Shot in LA. It opens up. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just a fantastic, and it opens up with 16 minutes of the soul. What is this thing called? Soul sacrifice,
Sunday service.
Okay. 16 minutes of people singing and taking other songs and putting Jesus lyrics into them. Yeah, that's what they do. That. Okay, I love gospel and I love Jesus when it's in a gospel song. 16 minutes. 16 minutes. And they were great. And then finally Kanye comes down and he does the hits. And you know what? And it's a great stage, and there's smoke, and I gotta tell you, when we all have discussed what he is, but when he clocks through the hits.
Yeah, that's when anybody pulls up the hits, they're gonna get you, because he's got a catalog of hits, right?
He's got a catalog of hits.
It's not about whether you like, when the hits come, that's just.
And they were hits.
Yeah.
And he's rapping, and they were hits. And he's rapping over a track, but he is rapping. And then I'm kind of fast forwarding to see when Drake comes out. I'm not even lying. I think Drake is out there for 2 songs, and they do the one Drake song I like. So that was nice.
Which one?
I don't even remember what it's called. It's the one that came from the basketball, the NBA tribute thing, or the ESPN tribute thing. It's old because it's got a great beat. But they come out and they hug, and it's great, and it's a yay hip hop hooray moment. But it was just that I was impressed that he did the hits, because knowing Kanye, you thought he was going to go off and do some esoteric. He's got the catalog. You cannot deny him that. And he is, and this is what I've always said about him. We know he's infuriating as a human being. He's problematic, blah, 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 blah. But I give him credit for at least trying to do something that is not usually done. I'll give him credit for that. Does he always hit the mark? No. But I give him credit for that. And, I did. I took one for the team. I did it so you don't have to. There.
Yes, because I'm not going to, because, I feel the same way about him as I do about an unflushed toilet. And
and Drake, I don't care about, but
Drake has that one song that I like, and he's not even rapping on it. It's one where he sings.
It's the one, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's got this one, exactly. Drake is all to me. Drake to me is all production. Yeah. His production is fantastic. But it was a yay for me. I watched it.
Right.
And had a churro, and that was it.
Right.
I'm back. All right. Another thing I took, just really briefly, Mass Appeal, which started a gazillion years ago, basically as a fanzine. I mean, my son used to intern for them, and has now, over the years, turned into like a multimedia enterprise under the stewardship of Nas, who was part owner, and Sasha Jenkins, who was a long time writer and become a director. So they've been doing a series of documentaries that are on Showtime, which I found. I don't know why I'm doing visual things because nobody can see them. When I say like this, found, whenever I say found, whenever we say found, we mean found. like fell out of the back of the truck.
That's what I was supposed to say. Like in the old days, when my father would come home with certain things, and I'd be like,
steaks. Where'd you get these at?
no, like back literally in the 80s when he came home with the HBO antenna, and the guy was putting up, where'd this come from? And it was like, it fell out the back of a truck.
Right, I found it. I know. Well, anyway, I found it. And the 2 documentaries have aired so far, and there's one more, I think, this weekend, and I think it might be about DMX. I'm not sure. But anyway, the first one is a documentary directed by Nas called You Are Listening to Video Music Box, which is a history of Video Music Box. Legendary. I mean, Ralph McDaniels
in New York
breaking
City.
Spot for hip-hop.
Channel 31, Channel 25, 1 o'clock in the, was it midnight?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know when I watched it, but I would watch it.
It was always late night. It was either midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning.
And, it's worth watching from a nostalgic point of view, but also for people who think that rap music was invented yesterday. It's worth watching. I will say,
interviewed everybody, and the thing is, Ralph would get everybody when they were young, when they were new, when they came back.
Jay-Z looks like he's 4 in this.
It's like, I mean, you wanted to be, and especially if you were in New York, you wanted to be on Video Music Box. If you were hip hop from other cities in UK, you wanted to be on Video Music Box. Ralph McDaniels, and to this day,
and still active.
That's it. And to this day, Ralph is still, he's highly respected, and he just. When I worked at Columbia, I worked in video promotion. And where I started was doing local video. Now, Ralph wasn't one of my accounts, but I used to have to, when I came in, I was a department assistant. So my job was maintaining all the mailing lists. And I would mail out all the videos and get the list to the studio to mail out everything to the shows. And, so I would deal with them in that sense. That show was like every hip hop artist wanted to be on that show.
Yeah.
And they were. And R&B kids too. But it was like Video Music Box. It was kind of like there were certain local video shows across the country. And there's some that are still there, like JBTV in Chicago. They're still there. And they're a big powerhouse doing things. I believe Rage is still in Boston. And there were certain shows that were really steeped in the culture, had big ties to radio, big ties to all of the labels, all of the artists, and Ralph was one of those guys. So it's amazing to see him have a documentary and really people get to know the history of a show that's really important in the story of hip hop and videos, and a place for that to be seen. Yeah,
it's worth watching.
Have cable. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Nas is not the greatest director of our time, but it is worth watching.
Yes.
The other documentary it's on is something that was not done for Showtime. It was an independent film at the and it was picked up by Massfield Showtime, which is called The Individualist. It's a documentary about the life and career of Ricky Powell. The movie was made before Ricky passed. Ricky passed at the beginning of 2021. I don't want to go into Ricky Powell is best known as sort of the guy that was the fourth Beastie. He documented all of the early Beastie Boys stuff. He is a only in New York character. He is was a very problematic person. I knew Ricky not super duper well, but hey, Ricky, hey, Amy, how you doing? But problematic. You will see why he's problematic in the film. I will say that some of my opinion about him did change watching it because he was literally raised by wolves, or a wolf, not wolves, plural, a wolf. But it's, again, worth watching because they have everybody from Lawrence Fishburne to Future 2000. This is Debbie Mazur. This is somebody who, when you talk about, it's a New York that doesn't exist. And also, it's just watch the film. It's called The Individualist. It's well done and it's worth it. And it's also on Showtime as part of this sort of mass appeal. So, shout out to these are people we've known for years at Mass Appeal. So Sasha Jenkins and Roberta McGreeny and Good for them. Good for them. All right, it's the end of the year.
The end of the year.
It's the end of the year. So
it's the end of the year.
We talked about
ho.
Do you know that I used to sing in bands and was in the school choir for years? No, I really did.
That was my channeling if Jennifer Holiday was singing that little interlude.
Oh, that was good.
For us. Thank you so much.
I was wondering.
Thank you. I needed that pat because I was like, wow. You sound so great. You sound so great.
I like that, especially first thing in the morning because the instrument isn't warmed up yet.
It's not warmed up yet. You know? Maybe I need a Coke, an African guy in a bathhouse to get it warmed up.
I mean, it used to always be great. Back when I still smoked cigarettes and did all sorts of stuff, when I would have to call into work, my voice in the morning, first thing in the morning, I sounded like both of Marge Simpson's sisters and Peppermint Patty. So I would call in, I'd be like, hello. And they'd be like, oh, don't come into work today. Great.
And you'd be like, thank you. I only just woke up. I'm not.
I've had 2 cigarettes and 5 cups of coffee, and I'm about to start doing all other shenanigans. All right. So, everybody does their top 10 list, whatever. And I don't know. Courtney and I decided, like, rather than ranking or top 10, we just want to talk about music and artists that kind of really caught our eyes and our eyes and ears, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And that kind of made an impact for us. So why don't you talk about your first artist, and then we'll kind of back and forth if you want to do it that way.
Sure. My first artist is,
and this is no chronological, right? It's just
it's no chronological. It's Vince Staples. I'm not the biggest. I appreciate hip hop. I like hip hop. Right. I would not call myself the biggest fan, but I absolutely appreciate good hip hop. I like MCs that have a certain kind of flow. There's certain voices that I like, and I like his voice. And this year he put out his self-titled album, Vince Staples. He has a bunch of albums, but this to me is his most cohesive work. I really like the album. I really like the songs. I like the length of it. I think it bumps. It just gives me something fresh and new, and he just excites me.
On your recommendation, because I've always kind of liked him. I've always gotten a good hit off of him in terms of like, there seems to be something going on behind his eyes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I listened to this again. I enjoy a record that comes in less time than it took for me to give birth to a human being. So I'm all for that. I like a record. You and I've talked about this. We like records with one producer because you get a cohesive sound. That's why I used to love Gangstar, because it was only Premier producing. It's a good record. I want to go back and I do like his voice too. And I just like it is making a lot of top 10 lists because I think that he has a lane. It may not be the most well-traveled lane, but I think he is, I liked it too. And I thank you for bringing it to my attention. All right. I'm going to talk about an artist you can't stand, but I've always liked Halsey's voice. I like the tone of his voice. I've always kind of whatever she is as a person, I don't have to deal with her as a human being. And she's not a bad person. She's just kind of all over the place, but she's young. And she has always kind of been in a dance. She got started with Chainsmokers. She's always been in a dance pop or a pop kind of realm. She put out a record this year called If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, which is first off a fantastic title. She worked, it's a much tougher record. There's a lot of rock elements to it. She worked with, of all people, Trevor, what's his name? Come on, Trevor from Nine Inch Nails, what's his name? Trent Reznor. Trent Reznor. I am not somebody who goes, ooh, the new Halsey record. I listened to it because Bill Coleman was raving about it. And I've always liked her singles, but Bill was, and I was like, okay, I trust Bill's taste. It's a very good record. Am I listening to it on some? It's very good. I
have all of her records actually. I know I always joke, what's a Halsey? And I have gone back and listened to them, and she actually makes good music. To me, she's just so, I just don't know what You make these records, but who are you? What do you do? Like, she just kind of comes, and it's not like what I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's okay because she makes good music. But I'm still like, what's a Halsey? I'm still very confused by her. Who are you as an artist? Like, I just don't know.
I mean, I'm going to give her that maybe she's an artist who's willing to kind of take a chance, because if you're a pop artist,
like
this is not a pop. This is not a pop album.
But it's like a Khalees. I think she makes different albums, right?
And who is she?
And I actually do appreciate that. I just still sometimes, whenever she comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, and I never think to listen to her records, but when I do, I tend to like them.
Yeah. So this is I like I said, I listened to it again yesterday. I'm like, there's some good songs here. And so if I can't have, and it's also making a lot of best of this. So if I can't have love, I want power. All right, next one, please. I have a feeling we're going to have some overlap here.
The next one for me is a record by an artist called LP, Laura Pergolizzi.
Oh, not the DJ LP.
No,
that guy.
Laura Pergolizzi. She's actually from a place you and I know well, Huntington, Long Island.
Huntington.
She's another one. Singer-songwriter, has been around for years. Has written songs for Cher. She's written songs for Christina, Rihanna. She co-wrote "Cheers Up, Drink to That" for Rihanna. And you know that sample, that's the Avril Lavigne sample in that song?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't, but okay.
But that's LP actually singing that on that. So she has a second album out, Churches, that actually only came out a few weeks ago. And her voice, again, she's got this, it's hard to describe her voice. It's a very, like, no one else sounds like that.
That's good.
It's just, I just don't even know how to describe her voice. It's a very
all right, I'm going to have to check it out.
Sound. But I really like her. I like her songwriting. And she's a queer artist. She's 40. She's a grown woman.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great, great record. And her album before that is a really great record. You know what I mean? She's got a bunch of albums, but she had Heart to Mouth in 2018, which I really, really liked. And this is called Churches. And it's a really good record. And I like people who can write and have something to say, and and she performs a lot, and it just I was really happy that she dropped this record.
All right, good. The next one I'm going to talk about, and then I'll go obscure after this, but it's Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. I like Billie Eilish, and it's funny because every once in a while when a bunch of old women will get together, we'll say, you know who I really like? Billie Eilish. And we're all like, yeah, I like her too.
But remember, you made me listen to her. I had the record and I didn't listen to it. That first album, and you were like, you need to actually listen to it. It's not what you think. And I was like, because I'm thinking, oh, young kid shit, it's not for me. Just, same thing when you made me listen to Olivia Rodrigo. You're like, it's actually not what you think.
Well, I mean, and I was turned off initially by the hype around because I'm like,
and everything these days.
I don't have a driver's license.
Right. Well, that was the first thing. I was like, all right, great, but this is great young people music. You know what I mean? And because everything has, especially with pop, been skewing so young that a lot of these albums I skim past. I'm like, this is great, but it's so not for me. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. Billie Eilish, we don't have to tell you who she is, multiple Grammy winner. A lot of people, mainly men, will bitch about like, oh, the voice. I went, you know what? You bitch when people sound like, when everybody sounds like everybody else. And then when someone has a very idiosyncratic sound, you bitch about that. And I will say she is capable of full out singing. If she were French, she'd be a chanson. So it'd be fine. There are little elements.
Shout out to Mylène, my favorite chanson.
Right. Little shout out. Yeah. Little elements of trip hop. She works with her brother Phineas. We know that. I just like her. I think that she's
check out Phineas's album too. He put out an album a couple of weeks ago. It's really good.
Yeah. And I just think that she's I just like her. So it's, and again, making a lot of she's not somebody I would have ever thought if you had said to me, like you said 3 years ago, oh, you got to check out this 19-year-old who has green hair and only wears like huge goth clothing. I would have been, yeah, that's great. So she's really good. So Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. All right.
My next is going back to a series that started in the 80s for a good cause. and came back after a few years break this year. It is the Red Hot and Free album. To me, y'all know, because you always hear on this show, I will always come back to some dance music and something. I just love to dance. I think it's a very freeing feeling when you can just let your body do whatever it wants to do and move. And Red Hot and Free, executive produced by our good buddy Bill Coleman. And this isn't just because he's my friend. It just really is a great record from top to finish. The original songs are great. The remixes are great. The artists really did their thing. And if you want a solid album where you could just dance, not trendy, but dance music that is very much just that kind of soul of dance music, right? It doesn't all sound like, oh, this is the thing that's happening now, with really good beats and songs you can sing along to. And it's just great. And I still play it. And I'm getting dressed in here sometimes. And I play it when I'm going to take my morning walk and exercise. I just put it on and it just makes me happy. And I can just move and brisk in the air. And I love, we talk about adult dance music all the time, right? Because you think about most of us as we get older, we stop going out dancing, especially people who used to do it all of the time, right? You get to an age where you feel like, oh, I don't think you stop loving house music. It's like hip hop heads.
I love house music.
It's like hip hop heads. They always love hip hop, but you get to a certain age, you feel like, well, I've aged out of going to the hip hop club because those things are young. But that doesn't mean you don't want to be able to hear the music. I think if you're a person who still loves to dance, this is an album for you. You'll dance all around your house. You'll dance at your picnic. You'll dance at your basement party. And it's just a fun album.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to combine my next one. I'm going to combine two artists, even though they are worthy of their own, just for, I don't know, time's sake or whatever. Mm-hmm. All right. So the first one is a woman who for years, I had no idea who she was. I would see the name. And for some reason, I thought she was doing a completely different type of music. But you said, no, crazy white bitch. She is doing the exact type of music that we love. Mm-hmm. And that's Roisin Murphy. And she put out Roisin, excuse me.
Roisin Machine, and then the remix album Crooked Machine, which is fucking
so Roisin Machine came out in 2020, but anyway, she's just like, again, indescribable, but artful, smart, innovative. And again, I am fully admit I fucked up. So the remember, her voice from Maloko. She sang with Maloko. The thing about Roisin that is very fierce is she's been making dance music, really great dance music, for like 35 years. And you can hear a lot of the influence, like when she talks about influences on this record, are like the Paradise Garage, a club she's never been to, right? But like the club, but there was this EP that I have that the Sly and Robbie presents. By the way, R.I.P. Robbie Shakespeare.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
It was a EP that had Gwen Guthrie vocals and Larry Levan remixes. So that had Padlock, Seventh Heaven, Hopscotch, Peanut Butter, those tunes. So you hear like the influence in those sort of like in something more in the other songs, like the way records used to fill the garage. They were slower. They weren't these faster records, but it was beats and fierce vocals, and she's fucking amazing, man. And this record, to me, I still play it. It's on heavy rotation over here on Edgecombe Avenue.
Yeah. And the other record, I'll just brief, is someone you also turned me on to, though I had seen the name for years, is Agnes Magic Still Exists. Just a great. I mean, we don't even have, it's just solid, great, smart dance.
We talked about it on the show.
It hits you in the head, it hits you in the heart, it hits you in the hips.
Yeah.
That to me is the trifecta. Yeah. If you're thinking, if you're feeling, if you're moving, boom. So from Sweden, next, just a great artist. So
and a couple of people have hit me after we talked about it on the show and be like, "Thank you for turning me on to Agnes. That record is hot. Great. They love it. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good."
All right, next one for you, please.
The next one for me is going to be the Hard Feelings self-titled album, Hard Feelings. Joe Goddard from Hot Chip. This is his side project, and another solid. It came out on Domino Records this October, and it is another record of just fierce, 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 fierce.
Is it fierce, Courtney? Is it fierce?
Fierce, fierce.
Courtney, I'm not sure.
Dance.
Courtney, what adjective would you use to describe this record? You know, if you were one of my students, I would give you a C right there for using the same adjective in a row. But for you get a AAA plus.
It's just, listen.
Fierce? Is it fierce?
You know how much I love a dance moment, and it's just, come on, with fierce vocals, it's just, give me what I need. You know what I'm saying? Give me what I need.
I've heard it's fierce.
It's like a joint in one hand, the Christmas tree is lit, and me dancing around in my sarong.
And so is Courtney.
You know?
The tree is lit, and so is Courtney.
No, it's just really, I just get really happy when people make dance albums.
Yeah. Why do we love Pet Shop Boys so much?
Because I like when people treat it like I am an artist.
Yeah.
And I make albums. You know what I mean? I love a great single, that's great, but I love it when you get a cohesive body of work and it's just a full mood and you can just put it on. You don't have to jump around. I think we've all gotten so used to this digital album situation where you can just tailor it and jump around and not listen. But every record that we've both spoken about today so far, I just put them on. I don't jump around and skip a track. And that's what I love about this Hard Feelings record. It's just great music. Put it on, you'll find your full life. It's a good time.
All right, I'm going to double up again. And these are artists that I was turned on to by both recommendations from other critics and friends. I'm going to mangle the names. I apologize. Madhu Makhtar, Afrique Victim, and Arooj Aftab, Vulture Prince. Arooj, I believe, is Pakistani. Mm-hmm. She does live in the United States. She does has performed. Very moody. It's not her first record. Very moody, very enigmatic. She sings both in, I don't know what language she sings in. I don't want to be like, one of those Americans who go, she sings in Pakistani because that's not a language.
Right.
And I forget if she even is Pakistani, so I apologize. But just really interesting, atmospheric, great vocals. So I really like that. And Madhu Makhtar is, I believe, from Niger, but he's in the kind of school of Bombino, who I love. The Turag music, this insane hypnotic guitar stuff and vocals, which are just sort of take you someplace. They're almost psychedelic in a way. It's so funny because I hate jam bands, but I don't mind it, I guess, when it's coming from Africa. But just a really interesting record. It is also made, and it was released, like, who knew? It has also made many top 10 lists. So it's I like those two records a lot. Next is, this is my pop-tastic, fantastic, gay-tastic Steps, What the Future Holds album, part 1, and then they put out a part 2 album 10 months later. So I'm going to count them both together as one and say, thank you, Steps. Thank you for a year and still in this pandemic of coming out and being your gay-tastic, fantastic, pop-tastic selves. I love these two albums. It's the hardest thing in the world, and we've talked about this a lot, being a pop artist who gets older. Because when and Steps was a group that was used to having top 5, number 1 hits, and top 5, top 10 hits. So to get older and you come back and you're still making pop, more grown pop, but it is still pop music, you already know it's going to be different for you. Radio is not going to support you the same. But in the UK, they did get support, and they had 2 hit records. They had a successful tour that unfortunately had to end early due to some COVID issues. But those are great pop records. And if you're a person who just likes some fun pop music that you can sing along to, dance along to, or good old pop ballads,
those two-step albums are really, really, really fun, and they make me happy. And I'm a big Steps fan. I'm out of the closet in my hiding, being a Steps fan, and being like, "Fuck it, yes, I love Steps." But and the records are good and they're fun. And if you're a pop music person, you'll like these records.
All right, I'm gonna again double up because I have to save a minute of time to talk about the song that I played ad nauseum, but I'll do that one when we wrap up. All right. So one is a relatively brand new artist in that this is her first album, but you have heard her voice for years. She was on Melatonin, Tribe Called Quest. She's worked with Drake, and that's Yebba. Her album is called Dawn.
That's a great record. Yeah.
Yeah. Just soulful and all sorts of influences, and again, does not sound like anybody else. Just a real soulfulness to her, that kind of, I guess Amy Winehouse sort of being a jumping off point, but very much American too. You hear the kind of influences of other music. So Yebba, Dawn, and the second one is an artist who has been around for quite some time, who has been, I don't want to say a cult favorite because she does chart, but she's always been that singer that people say, why isn't she bigger? And this year she had a real breakthrough, and that's Jasmine Sullivan with Hotels.
I was absolutely.
Yeah. Well, she came out early in the year, so we sort of forgot about it. But
the Grammys didn't, and she got some nominations. And seems like she just put tickets on sale for a concert and they sold really quickly.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're about to see that kick back up again.
She is a great singer. She's a great songwriter. This very husky, very womanly, very wise sort of voice. This is a concept record.
About hotels.
And we, she's been around. She's not a kid, though she's not old, but this is the record that really, she did a Tiny Desk, an NPR Tiny Desk, which was like blew the roof off of the place. And that is not an easy thing to do. Anyway, so Hotels by Jasmine Sullivan. Do you have, can I just?
Yeah, because once you do that, I'm just going to say.
I want to talk about my single.
I was going to say, I'm just going to go through a little, I'm not, because say what you need to say, because I'm just going to say some honorable mentions. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, God, we could go on forever. But I have to say, so at the end of the year, Spotify gives you what you listen to the most. And I am ashamed to say that basically everything I listened to this year was what I listened to last year, which is like Brian Ferry, Roxy Music, Stromae. I mean, just like the same shit.
I didn't get one.
The Stones. What?
I didn't get one. The only one I have was one for the show. Thank you for everybody listening on Spotify. You guys listening hours up 30% this year. You guys really showed out. Thank you. In 6 countries, 6 different countries are listening to us.
Real countries.
So if you're listening to us somewhere else, buenos dias.
Yeah. Or yo, what's up if you're in Canada? Anyway, the single, I was obsessed with this single to the point of playing it over and over and over again, and I was turned on to it by reading about it in the New York Times. Yay, John Perellis. 2 artists I already liked a lot, but together, and I cannot for the life of me understand why this was not a huge single. St. John and Scissor, Just for Me. Well, first off, maybe it wasn't a hit single because it was on the soundtrack for what I've heard is the worst movie ever made, which is the second Space Jam movie, which was supposed to suck, which opened if they were still selling DVDs on the street, it would open to Fulton Street. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, this single, I can't even, there's a lot of auto-tune used, which usually drives me nuts because St. John is a good enough singer that he doesn't need auto-tune. But oh my God, this song, it talks about like a love, being in love with just somebody who is just troubled and depressed. And I don't know, I just love it. So if you, Just for Me by St. John and SZA. And I'm really looking forward to see what he does next because I think he's very talented, fascinating kind of guy. And SZA, we all love SZA. And where's the album? Let's go.
It's coming. She has a new single, I Hate You, that just came out last week, which is really good. So she's cool. So I got a bunch of honorable mentions because, we could go through this all day. Adele. 30.
Oh yeah, I figured I wouldn't mention that.
Yeah, you know,
it would come up.
Boogie Hill Faders, The Formula, great dance album. Rasan Patterson, Heroes and Gods 2.0. Yeah. That Quentin Harris reworks of his tunes are fucking amazing. Lana Del Rey, Chemtrails, I really enjoyed. Joy Crook's Skin, which is a great record. You guys really need to check out Joy. I
knew you were going to bring her up.
She's
I knew
really amazing. The reissue of Jussie Ware, the deluxe edition. What's your pleasure? Because more Jussie Ware is always
Jussie Ware. Love her.
You know what I mean? Love her. And and I really liked Gold Link's album Harem that kind of came and went without really people paying much attention to. But I really like Gold Link, and I wish it wasn't so under the radar. But
Jussie Ware.
And I also like to say thank you to the press department at Company for the amazing tickets last night. I went to see Company on Broadway, the Stephen Sondheim show with Katrina Link and Patti LuPone, and everybody. It was spectacular. They gave us great orchestra seats, and the show was absolutely spectacular. Everybody was amazing. It's amazing. So if you're coming to the city and you want to see a show, it's a really good adult show. It is laugh out loud funny. And the singing is just amazing. And Patti LuPone giving you Ladies Who Lunch is worth the price of admission alone.
Yeah, that's a classic. Classic.
And the gentleman who sang "I'm Not Getting Married Today" had the theater rapturous. So it was just really amazing. All
right. You know what? Let me ask you. I would rather end on a high note than ending with the disappointments.
Yeah,
we could go on. All right. So, what are you looking forward to in 2022? And on any level, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the exciting things we have planned for this show. I think people are going to really be happy with us in 2022. We're coming for you. I will be honest with you, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because I never say this. I'm really excited for Beyonce in 2022, and I'll tell you. Oh wow,
you've never spoken about Beyonce,
and I will tell you why. Well, no, but it's in a different respect. This will be the first album. I'm retired from all of that, right? I'm retired from music. This will be the first album that she's putting out that I've not worked in some capacity in some way. So for me, I get to enjoy this as a consumer, as a fan. I don't know what the plan is. I've not heard any music. I don't know when something is dropping. So I want to, and I do have an expectation. I want to see her win, and I want to see her return to the top of the pop charts with a song on her own as a lead artist. I want her to have her worldwide big hit again. And to now not have, let me just tell you something. It was really fun doing that working on remixes, but that work was really hard and it's intense. So a lot of times when I hear the music or stuff, I just have different thoughts. I'm thinking about, oh God, when I was having to fix those vocals and do this or get this mix right, or I was up against it. So this time, there's none of that. I want a superstar release, and I think we're going to get one. And I want to see the itness of it all, you know what I mean? And experience of that. So that is what I'm excited for musically, because there's all these new stars, but we have very few of the really big superstars. Rihanna, it's like, I'm giving up radio. I'm like, listen, I can't, we've been excited for a Rihanna record for 46 years. That's going to come when it comes. And at this point, I'm trying to not have any expectation because I feel like I could be really disappointed in a Rihanna record at this point because we've all wanted one so much that it's like, if it's something that we don't love, it'll be like, Beyonce, I don't know what to expect. And it's been a long time since 2016 since she's put out a solo record. And I want to see it from this point of view, and I want to be wowed, and I know she's going to come hard, and I'm excited for her in 2022.
It'll be interesting if the ageist, sexist world accepts a 40-year-old mother of three doing a big pop song. So that, I think, she could come with the biggest pop hit in the world. It's going to be very interesting if the ageist, sexist world we live in
Well, because let me just tell you, Pop has not supported her records for the last few years.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You said your big record. It'll be interesting.
Let's see. It'll be real. Let's see, right? Because let's see how they come with it. Because Beyonce has a lot of Grammys, but she's not in those pop categories. Like people, they assume a lot of her pop Grammys are record of the year, song of the year. It's very few of those. That happened around, Sasha Fierce and stuff. But a lot of them are like in the R&B categories and in the rap collaboration, rap song categories. So I want to see, like you said, I want to see how Pop reacts and give her the due that she has deserved and play her music on the radio.
All right. I'm really interested to see what Stromae is going to do.
I know you're excited.
I got turned on late to him. I think he is the quintessential example of an international artist. He had a massive career without ever stepping foot in this country.
Like Kate Bush,
except that she does sing in a language that he had hits singing in French, and he is the biggest selling artist in French-speaking countries, which is a lot of countries. He's a fascinating artist. He embodies so many different genres of music. His live shows, just from watching him on YouTube, are just extraordinary.
His severe anxiety has kept him from performing a lot, right? Isn't that the thing?
I don't know. Whatever.
No, I believe he
got married. He had a kid.
Not whatever. No, I believe he is a person who literally is not whatever. I think he really suffers from a severe anxiety, and I think I believe. I honestly don't know.
Mm-hmm. Those shows don't. His interviews in those shows do not. The only time I've ever seen him appear, I don't know, but the point is that I'm really looking forward to see what he does, because he has established himself. I mean, he is considered the Jacques Brel of the dance floor, and I don't speak French, but meaning he is writing about serious stuff. And he's one of those artists that even if you don't speak the language, you know what he's talking about. So I'm very much looking forward to see. I mean, there's a lot of albums, coming out. I think if Rihanna came out, she would wipe the floor with Beyonce, but that's me. I think there's more goodwill.
Oh, what it was is he had to cancel a tour through Africa because of anxiety caused by the malaria medicine that he took.
As someone who has taken malaria medicine, I can testify that it fucks you up. No, malaria medicine will make you a little nutty. So yeah, I mean, it will make you a little nutty. Anyway, I'm just interested. I am always kind of rooting for international artists. He's just interesting. And I think, I love it. I think he's a nice guy. I'm also really excited just by the increasing influence of Afrobeat and African music in pop culture.
Like the
WizKid,
WizKid, Tim's, you know what I mean? But WizKid is what he's actually, it's interesting, right? Because Burna Boy now is about to do his first big arena dates in the US, and he's about to be the tickets I believe go on sale this week, the first Nigerian artist to headline Madison Square Garden.
Did Fela ever play the Garden?
I don't know. Or if he did, I don't know if he headlined, because they're saying he is the first to headline.
Wow, well, good for him. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy that.
And I would go to, I have a feeling we might need to be up in a Burna Boy show, because that seems like that would be a good the Garden is going to be rock. I mean,
it'll sell out.
The Garden is going to, that's just going to sell out so fast.
It's going to sell out. I mean, and good for him. So yeah, that's it. So I'm excited by stuff like that.
I'm also excited for Milin. Milin has a record dropping in 2022.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always good music coming up. It sneaks up on you. Yeah. All right. Would you like to do the thing that you do? And also, I just want to say, I am very excited that we have made it this far.
Yeah.
That we figured out how to use Zoom, that I figured out how to record on Zoom. Yay for me. That I have a real mic. I'm showing it to everybody.
Real mic.
That we haven't killed each other. No. That's exciting. But that's probably because we're on Zoom and we can't.
Well, no, I think we went through the pains of trying to kill each other. Now we both just realized we're both older and crotchety, so fuck it.
Yeah. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm really excited that we have a love of music and a love of culture and a love for each other that translates into, I hope, good radio or whatever we call this podcast, radio.
But radio's because we're going to be on that radio. That's where we want to head. But I'm grateful for the people that listen and that tell their friends to listen. And then they keep listening. And then the new listeners that have come. And I'm grateful for the guys at the Pantheon Network who said, hey, you're different than the other. You're different than the other shows that we have on here, but we like that and we like what you do, and we want you to be a part of us. So I'm very appreciative of those guys. It's been a fun ride, and I just want to thank everyone who was a guest on our show. Absolutely.
We want to thank, if we haven't done it before, Al Diaz for doing our unbelievably fucking dope graphics for the show.
Yes,
so
sir.
Want to thank, even though this is going back, we want to thank Tammy Faye Starlight, Ben Merlis. We want to thank Mark and Barney from Rock's Back Pages. Please subscribe to that. We want to thank Sean Sotero, who has his book on Tekashi 6ix9ine coming out in a couple of weeks. Miguel Beguer. Bevy, who's also got a fantastic book out. Bill Coleman, who has the record. Yes. So we really want to thank the people. Morris Bernstein, who's got Giant Step. We're going to have more guests because we want to thank people who have supported us. You could be anywhere tonight, but you're here with us.
You know what I mean?
And who have decided to talk at 9 o'clock in the morning.
There could be 500 Lady Gagas in the room, but I only pay attention to the one who's supporting us.
Oh, yeah.
That's a... All right. The Gaga kids will know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I was like, huh? All right. Why don't you do that thing that you do so well?
Look around. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant sing Vogue. Guys, thank you. This is our last show of the year. This is show 76. We'll be back. I believe our first show is like January 6th. I think it's the first show of the new year.
That sounds right.
But we love you. But we will still be active on our social, right? So we'll be posting stuff on our Facebook and on our Twitter and on our IG. So you can always talk to us there. You can talk to us on Facebook at ImmaLetYouFinish, all one word. On Instagram at ImmaLetYouFinish, Twitter at FinishImma. And remember, when you listen to the show, like it. Leave a comment. You know what I mean? Tell a friend. You got time to catch up on all the shows you're behind on now because we're gone for the next 2.5, 3 weeks. We love you. Stay safe. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Have a great
Happy
Christmas.
holiday. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Just
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We love you guys.
Everyone.
We'll see you next year.
Bye.
It's NFL draft season, and that means it's time to start thinking about fantasy football. FantasyPoints.com features industry-leading experts and prognosticators using proprietary hand-charted data to help you score more fantasy points. FantasyPoints.com is the place to go for whatever kind of fantasy football you play. Whether you play fantasy football, daily fantasy sports, or do a little bit of everything, Fantasy Points has the meticulously researched content to guide you to victory. And why wait for the fall? Fantasy Points also covers the new spring football league, the UFL. Join the guru, John Hansen, Scott Barrett, Joe Dolan, and other massive names in the fantasy football universe with an exclusive offer. Use code Pantheon for 15% off any Fantasy Points package, including the all-in package, with access to every article, tool, and data nugget that Fantasy Points has to offer. That's FantasyPoints.com and code Pantheon for 15% off at Fantasy Points. FantasyPoints.com, code Pantheon. Score more fantasy points.